Welcome to another episode of Get Financially Fit, a series of conversations designed to get women to think more, do more, and talk more about their financial fitness, in the belief that the more we talk and share, the better we become at how we manage our money, earn it, spend it, and invest it. Led by Yes You Can, a not-for-profit organisation, we want to champion, educate and inspire women to focus on their own financial care to avoid any long-term vulnerability. And today, I'm talking to Emma Maslin, a financial coach who spent her early career working in corporate finance as an accountant, valuing businesses for takeover, and then transitioned to coaching after more friends than she could count, and she's an accountant, so that's a lot, called upon her for financial advice. She believes, and I love this, that financial health is not a luxury for the wealthy, but a basic need for all of us. So, Emma, welcome, and please tell me how we set about achieving that.
Thanks for having me, Kate. It's really nice to be here. Well, I think my mission in life is really to get people talking about money more, because a lot of the problems that we face are really founded in the fact that money is such a taboo subject still. You know, I think people still, you know, even within my friendship group, people probably talk about sex more than we do money. I don't know what a lot of my friends earn. And we're living in a society, you know, where the gender pay gap is still massive. The gender pensions gap is massive. How do we fix these things if we don't talk more?
How on earth can people start to better prepare themselves or better manage their money when they've got none in the first place?
Because so many people say, I'm not good with money, I haven't got any money, I can't stop spending, I can't stick to a budget. This is just a narrative that we're running in our heads. Money in and of itself is nothing. It's just a piece of paper. Money is an enabler for us to be able to live the kind of life that we want to live. So getting people to really comprehend that means that their eyes can be opened up into, well, do you know what? I can find £5 here and there. And what can that £5 do for me in 10 years' time? In 20 years' time? And I can guarantee you do have spare money. You do have money leaking out of your life. Anybody who says to me, I haven't got 2 pennies to rub together, I can find some money.
Because it's not just about shares and investments and pensions and you know, for some people that is a pipe dream. Actually, some of it is around knowing your rights, your tax credits, your child benefits. There's so many ways in which we can help you to explore your own financial fitness. So if that feels like that's you, stay with us, because I'm hoping that Emma's going to unlock some great pearls of wisdom. No pressure.
So I can give you one of my own experiences, actually. When I was a sleep-deprived and new mum, who got that bounty pack that all mums get, you know, when you're in the maternity ward, what they have inside those bounty packs, along with the millions of flyers for like 50p off a packet of nappies, is a very, very important form, which is your child benefit application form. Now, if you are sleep deprived, maybe like me, you'd had a traumatic birth, all you want to do is just get home, you kind of shove that aside with the hospital bag and forget about it. But it's a really, really important piece of paper to engage with and do correctly. But you do need to apply for it, because going hand in hand with that application is your right to receive state pension credits. So as a mother looking after a child under the age of 12, for every year until they reach 12, you are eligible for a state pension credit. If you're not working, that's a really valuable credit against your credit history to make you eligible for state pension when you get old. You're not thinking about it when you're in your hospital bed when you've just given birth, but come 65, when you need 35 years of either contributions or credits to get the full state pension, it really matters.
I'm also that woman that came home from hospital with the bounty kit and didn't realise. I thought, I'm self-employed, I'm not entitled to any kind of paternity pay. I think it's over £3,500 that I could have claimed for, but it was way too late by the time I realised for me to qualify for that.
The money that you're talking about there, Kate, as well, that was the money at that point in time. If you'd done something sensible with that money and invested it, how much would it be worth 30 years, 20, 30 years down the track?
I really want to walk into any sort of NCT group now and just, literally like a stage invader and going, ladies, listen, there's a form in your bounty bag. You need to fill it out and don't forget about your pensions. And they'd be like, what? Because you get to my stage in life now, and I've got friends that are literally losing sleep over the fact they don't have any provision for their futures because they're now entering into their 50s. And it is the stuff that keeps you awake at night. You can't live on less than £10,000 a year, which is the state pension. And who knows how old you've got to be to qualify for it by the time we get there, because the goalposts keep moving. The one pearl of wisdom I would pass down to women 15 years younger than me is do more while you're younger. It hurts less, the contributions are smaller, and the take home is so much greater.
And if you have an extended period of maternity, the pension probably falls quite far down in our list of priorities. And again, in my personal experience, I stopped paying into a pension for a period of time. My husband didn't. When we had our first child, our pension pots were roughly the same. And now my eldest is 10 years old. So 10 years down the track, my husband's pension pot is about 2.5 times mine now in 10 years. And I'm having to work that much harder now down the track. Now I'm back in work to catch up, and I probably never will.
And then you've got the added costs of nursery fees. For some reason, the childcare costs tend to fall historically, statistically, to the mother, which means, well, if you've got to make a choice between your child going to nursery or paying into your pension pot, yeah, your kid goes to nursery.
The women tend to be focused on the what I call the everyday expenses. So the more here and now expenses, the budgeting for the food, the children, all of the children's kind of activities, things like that. The dads are thinking about the more long-term things, the insurances, the mortgages. But we need to be thinking about it together. And especially when it comes to our savings for the future, what's stopping a partner contributing to their carer, whoever that might be, and in this case the mum, what's stopping the husband or partner contributing into their pension? Nothing.
For all of the hours that the government devotes to NCT classes, just make one of them, why don't you? One about your finances and credits. Why don't we just tag that on? It's so simple. Let's talk about financial goals. It sounds a bit dry, so can you bring it to life for me?
Now, with the work that I do, I like to say that financial health and well-being and being able to achieve those goals all rests on 4 key pillars. The first being having a really great mindset around money. So that is being able to say that money works for you and having the confidence that you are, in inverted commas, good with money. So for a lot of people, there's some work to do because we have a lot of guilt, shame, fear, that negatively impact our ability to say, I'm good with money. It's really hard for a lot of people to say. The second one is about having a really clear picture of what it is that you want to achieve out of life. So I often get people to map out their life with post-it notes and pop in there what it is that they want to be, do, have, that would make a fulfilling life, so that by the time they get to their 90s and they look back on life, they say that is what I wanted. Then the third one is about having day-to-day control of your finances. And that's what's so key for so many people, because where we get into a cycle of not being able to save or getting into an awkward situation of having owed money, so being in debt, that is where we've lost control of our finances, lost control of our spending. So having that control, having a system and a framework that sits over what you're doing, but just taking a step back from the day-to-day and being conscious of what sort of life you want to create.
Let's break down, first of all, what is a financial goal?
Well, a financial goal is something that you're aiming for. If I say to somebody you need to save £100,000 to survive in retirement, it's just a big number and it scares people. But if I say, what is retirement to you? When you're older, when you don't have to go to work every day, what is it that's going to fire you up? Is that being able to have your grandchildren come to the beach because you love being able to walk out and have the beach close to you? Is it being able to holiday 3 times a year? That brings connection to people. It helps people understand what they're aiming for. Just a big pot of money doesn't inspire anybody. It just scares them. I mean, each generation, not really generation, but each decade is facing different challenges. You know, the millennials definitely have got a harder time now moving into that place where they can save money every month and save for those big goals. You know, the middle chunk are looking at their parents and saying, you know, they had it easy. They're retiring on these nice pensions, these gold plated pensions that we just don't have anymore. And having those 4 pillars that I talked about, having that mindset of it is doable, having a plan, having control over your day-to-day finances, which was the 3rd pillar that I didn't get to. And then the 4th one is really having that safety net, something you talked about at the beginning, having an emergency fund, having insurances in place. When you've got all those 4 things in place, regardless of your income, you can make small steps. And it's about making really small, consistent steps in the direction of the bigger picture, rather than looking at the bigger picture of, I might need £250,000 to retire. I mean, that's so hard. If I can say, right, can I save myself a £500 emergency fund between now and this time next year? That's a much more doable an attainable goal. And when I've achieved that, the psychological impact of that is huge because I've done it. The great thing about social media now is that there's so much free information out there. It's really easy to learn this jargon that we're talking about, just picking up bits of information. It gives us the confidence to maybe try something new, to be able to open that ISA, or to be able to say, is my money doing the right thing in premium bonds, or maybe could it be working harder elsewhere?
Without spending anything other than our time, how can we become more financially fit?
I think having these conversations is the biggest thing that we can do, starting with your partner. You know, naturally there are sometimes one party in couples that are more proficient. So money dates, having like a monthly or a quarterly money date with your partner. The power of that is huge. Being able to sit there and say, you know, what did we say we wanted to achieve 3 months ago? Just having those conversations, it starts you off in this pattern of, what habits do I need to change? What behaviours do I need to do differently?
Like when you say changing your behaviour around money, well, go back and look at what you've signed up for. Are you subscribing to things that you no longer use? Are there price comparison sites that could lead you to a monthly saving that would enable you to put a little bit more away? You know, those are all things that are just, all they require is time and attention, right?
Yeah. I mean, what I get all my clients to do is get a bit naked when it comes to their finances. Very few people, when I say to them, how much do you spend in a month on X or Y? They'll go, kind of around a square fat number with a 0 on the end of it. And I'm like, you absolutely do not spend £200 on groceries. So being able to go and take a real deep dive into exactly what you are doing with your money helps frame what you want to do with your money. Going deep in and saying, right, you know, I'm going to cut my spending by 20% this month so I can put it into investments or whatever, it's never going to work. Never ever going to work in a month of Sundays, because if you restrict yourself, you're just going to fall off the bandwagon down the track and go back to where you started.
So is a financial coach like being a personal trainer for your financial well-being rather than your physical well-being?
You know, when I was in corporate, I used to have someone come round and they would check that my desk was at the right height for my physical well-being. And, you know, then mental health had its real push, and they're obviously still there. But I think financial well-being is kind of like this overarching umbrella that sits over all of those. If you're worried about money, it impacts your sleep, it impacts your mental health, and ultimately will impact your physical health down the track as well. And the more people that can get behind that, the government, corporates, social enterprises, the more that we can empower people and have this brought to the fore, the better. And that is certainly happening, which is really, really great to see.
How can people find out more about the work that you do and accessing some of the great advice that we've talked through today?
Well, my Instagram is @moneywhisperer_, and my website is themoneywhisperer.co.uk.
Lovely. Emma, thank you so much. It's been an eye-opener of a conversation.
Thanks so much for having me. I could talk about this all day.
You do it so well. You do it so well.